So it was about 8 months ago that I did a video which was pretty much in the same spot as this, in which I said I wasn't going to be filming tournament rounds anymore, and that was just after playing the Clutch Tour Champs at the end of last year. I think it was about September time, and that was after having a fairly decent first round, which was recorded, and then having an absolute meltdown round 2, which hit hard, like a lot harder than normal for some reason. And saying I wasn't going to film tournament rounds was really like the first bit of basically almost like giving up on playing professional tournaments and like documenting the whole thing, which is what this channel was not originally set up to do. Originally started to do long try, but then moved on to something that I thought was just a lot harder and required a lot more of me to get to a decent level, essentially. So I'm going to tell the story of what I think is the last 8 months and explain like what happened and like where we are now, basically. So it was just after that video, I was like, right, I'm not filming any more tournament rounds, possibly maybe due to just not being able to handle like a very, very, very small percentage of comments. Just, you know, the usual stuff when you have a meltdown, and people, like certain type of people, like to sort of like latch onto that and just try and make you feel worse. In hindsight now, looking back, I can handle that like very differently. Obviously there was a massive percentage of comments that were like so positive, and people just understanding that, you know, the route of trying to get better at something is not easy and it's not linear. So your form is going to go up and down. So after sacking off the tournament rounds for a few reasons, I then slowly sort of just came away from competing. So I went to South Africa. Originally was supposed to play the IGT Tour, which is one of the mini tours out there that Konig was playing on before he just got on the Sunshine Tour. And I ended up not playing any tournaments out there and just started to film content that I thought would do well, that was easy to make. I sort of took the easy option. I found the pro golf stuff tough, but actually gives you some meaning, but like very, very difficult. And I simply just took the puss option and just went down the route of, right, let's just film some content that's going to be easier to make. It's going to be more fun to make. Well, what I thought was going to be more fun to make, and I don't have to worry so much. Not going to get any negative comments really, and you're not really putting yourself in a situation where you could, you know, feel shit essentially. So after South Africa, after not competing, not playing much, just making a few videos, came back, then went out to Portugal to play the Portugal Pro Golf Tour, which was great. Played the worst golf I've played in probably since I was, I don't know, like 14. It just wasn't in a good place at all, and trying to play in tournament situations when you haven't really practiced, and I didn't have a base out there to practice in. If I wanted to play, it was going to cost like lots of money and stuff. So I ended up being out there for about 5 weeks, and then my mates come out and got completely messed up, had a stag do and all sorts of stuff. So got back to England, and then I was like, right, pretty much made the decision that, okay, let's just make some content that's going to be, start thinking of it as a business, right? So I need to start making content that's easier to make, it takes less time to make, and then I'll make more money, blah, 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 blah. But that whole thing, like I knew at the time, like it probably wasn't what I should be doing. I had a feeling like deep down it wasn't the type of stuff that I should be doing. I should be focusing on trying to improve as a golfer and have something of meaning that you're actually trying to strive towards, because that's what gives you, you know, that dopamine hit when you're trying to work towards something very tough and you get small incremental little steps in the right direction, and it gives you a reason to continue like progressing on. And when you're just making stuff for the sake of it that you know you shouldn't really be making, then you start to look for dopamine hits elsewhere. So you start doing like hedonistic shit and just going out every weekend, partying with your mates, and then feeling shit for 3 days, and then feeling like semi-nihilistic halfway through the week, and then you just get on that vicious cycle, and it just continues and continues and continues. And recently I just thought, it's all come to a head because I've taken the easy, what I thought was the easy way out, as in, well, I tried to document this last year, had a few decent rounds. I've definitely shown a lot of progression throughout the year, but for some reason that completely hit me, that last one, and then I was like, right, let's take the easy way out. And it's only recently, after doing a lot of thinking over the last sort of like few weeks and listening to some good sources and reading some decent books, it's just come to the realization that it's all because I've taken the easy option, and the easy option is not always the best option. The best option is to keep pursuing something that's difficult, which actually gives you meaning, and something to work at and strive towards, and then you won't seek all the other bullshit on the side that you need to try and feel good every once in a while. So that's pretty much brought me to this point here, which is essentially full circle from that time when I said, right, I'm not filming any tournament rounds anymore. And now, after not feeling very good and having a lot of realization, now we've got to go at it again and go even harder. So instead of going semi in, like, the only way is to go all in, and at the same time that's literally the hardest way, because when you go all in, and I think a lot of people do this, if you have a goal and you go fully into it and you don't do the shit that you know you shouldn't do, and you do everything you can, you leave yourself open to the fact that if you do then fail, that's going to be an extremely hard thing to take. And I think what I do and what a lot of people do is they like slightly self-sabotage whilst they're on their way to trying to achieve something. So they're like, right, I want to do this. It's just going to be difficult, but I'm not going to do like everything I can to achieve it. I'm going to, right, so perhaps I'll go out like every weekend, and perhaps I'll smoke whatever on the regular. Perhaps I'll ingest other things to make, just to give yourself like a little buffer that if you don't succeed, you're like, well, I didn't give it everything though, so I feel slightly better about that. But in not giving everything towards what you're trying to do, I mean, what do you actually gain from doing that other shit? All you do is make it easy on yourself when you eventually fuck up. So what we're going to do is go all in, do the practice I need to do, document the process. I won't be filming, like, I won't be going and filming practice sessions and putting a camera down. Like, practice has got to be practice, but I'll be trying to film as many videos as possible, like tournament rounds for starters, and then tournament vlogs where you can just like pick the camera up and take you through the tournament, and then course vlogs themselves. Because course vlogs, if I've got a cameraman and I'm playing against other decent players, it's actually really good practice for tournament play, because you're playing properly against another player. There's no bullshit like drop it out the rough or doing any of that stuff. It's like a proper match, and the cameraman's filming it, and you're sort of like a fly on the wall in that match. It's not like let's perform to the camera. So that is essentially the story of what happened over the last 8 months. The content, in my opinion, has been just dog shit, and I feel like going forward it's going to be a lot more truthful, and than it'd be me just trying to make some videos just for the views. And the problem is, I'm not the type of person that can like being a presenter and doing those, you know, those clickbaity videos where you know, you've got to be like really animated, and like some people are great at it and obviously they make a lot of money, and I'm not saying anything bad about it at all. What I'm saying is, I think if I tried to do that, it would come across as quite fake and almost like a bit of a spoof. So all I can do is pick up a camera and try and show this progression, which is what I'm going to try and do. So full circle, but caught myself before, you know, I continue down that shitty path. And now we're going to go at it again and see what can happen. I'm not saying, I was never set out to say like, right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to achieve this, I'm going to achieve this. I'm just going to continue to strive to improve and see where we can take it and take you along and whatever. Perhaps a bit deep, but fuck it. Lots of golf coming. See you soon.